Hello everybody, this is Mirrodin and we're going to be going over my Zane turtle build. I don't know about you, but all these people that run and slide and shoot all at the same time, I don't know how they do it. I can't hit the right side of a barn that way. So what I prefer to do is throw out my clone, throw out my shield, blast away until there's nothing left. Let's get into this. So the whole premise of this build is using the Digi-Clone, beefing him up, giving him your gun, throwing out your shield with the all-rounder mod, giving you a dome around the two of you in a good defensible spot, and just blasting away until there's no enemies left. So, first we're going to start off with Synchronicity. We're going to put 5 points there. Basically, if your action skills are active, you get more gun damage. So this allows you to be competitive with your clone. I got a floater point here in the magazine size skill because I cannot pronounce it, but we'll go ahead and give it a try. Praemunitus? Yeah, magazine size. You're shooting more and reloading less. There's another point you could put in here later. That's a floater point as well, but kind of depends on your playstyle and how you want to do it. 5 points into borrowed time. This allows you to keep your clone and shield out nearly 100%, well, no, definitely 100% of the time, unless you have to move to other areas. That's the one downside of this. This is not a fast build. This is designed to sit in one spot and kill the enemies. We're going to put 5 points into Donnybrook. The health regeneration, meh. 32%, well, I can't get it to work. 32% gun damage. Yes, that's what we want. More gun damage, killing those enemies faster. Going to put a point into Quick Breather. This is basically here in case you get rushed by a bunch of melee guys or you get caught outside your shield. It helps you teleport back and both regens your shield and your clone's health. Next, we're going to put a couple points into Pocket Full of Grenades. This is the sweet spot for me. 1 point, I didn't always have enough grenades to be able to fully gain all the benefits from Boom Enhance. But 2 seems to work perfectly fine. I actually have a grenade mod that gives me a grenade every time I activate a skill, so that even compounds on top of this. So I could probably drop back down to 1 point, but I like 2 just to be sure. The old you, this is one of those quality of life mods that if just in case you're caught outside your shield or you go down and your clone is still up, then you can get back up. And with the other skills that we have in this build, your clone will respawn in about 4 seconds. So he's not really down that much at that point. Once again, another quality of life mod, Supersonic Man. As long as your skills are active, you gain a movement speed buff. This is not to work with the movement speed damage mod or skill. This is just to allow you to have a little bit more speed whenever you're going between areas or you need to go pick up ammo or something like that, because if you're moving faster, it's harder for those enemies to hit you. Like I said before, Boom Enhance, you have to have this. This is what gives your clone a lot of damage buff. It basically gives your clone 60% more damage if you do have 3 grenades for him to use when he spawns in. Next, this is another floater point, but I do notice there is quite a bit of a damage boost as long as the enemies are targeting your clone or one of your allies and not you. So you could put this into the magazine size or something like that, but I like it here. Lastly, another must-have skill is the double barrel. This is what gives your clone your weapon or a copy of your weapon to use. One thing you will notice right here, 25% gun damage buff. What a lot of people don't notice is that it says swapping places with the clone causes Zane and his clone to gain increased gun damage. So you want to be swapping places every once in a while to make sure you're getting this extra gun damage. This is what allows your clone to one-shot enemies. Well, that and an ion cannon, but we'll get into that later. One skill you may note that I didn't put a point in is this fractal frags. From my experiments, the clone is not doing as much damage by throwing 1 grenade as he can be firing and hitting enemies, especially at longer ranges, because he's not the most accurate grenade thrower. So I don't put a point here. That does take away from some of the grenade mods you can use, but to me, it just seems like I was getting more damage output from just having him shoot all the time. As far as options for your augmentations, I like the when the clone takes damage, um, or when I take damage, the clone shares some of the damage because with one of the skills you'll get life steal and he will top himself off, or you'll top yourself off. And then whenever the Zane's clone takes damage, you gain shield, so keeps you up longer. You could go with the clone taking some of the aggro, but your clone's going to be out for so long that this is kind of moot point. It's not really that useful. Going on. Now into the undercover skills tree. The only reason we put points here is to get to this all-rounder augment. So you can put these points anywhere you want. This basically creates a dome around you and your clone that prevents all projectiles from hitting you. So great thing. And also, if you're shooting through the barrel, it gives you more, or barrier, it gives you more gun damage. So you're doing more damage. All right, so basically, I found the best skills to put points into are this adrenaline skill, action skill, cooldown rate. This is what allows your clone to respawn in 4 seconds after going down or after you have to sacrifice him or whatever. So you definitely want 5 points here. These 5 points you can pretty much put wherever you really want to, but I like the ability to, if we're getting rushed by some big melee enemies or something, if I can get those critical hits, I can slow them down for my clone to finish off, or freeze them completely. But this is kind of your choice on where you want it. I mean, if you want more health regen or you want, more shields, you could put points in there, but only put a total of 10 points into this skill tree because you need all the others in your other skill trees. As far as the other augment mod, you could go for either one of these if you tend to move outside your shield, which is not really my playstyle. You can go for the movement buff and reload speed, but I like just the plain reload speed and not having to touch the shield, just sitting inside, and I gain health regen in case I do take a little damage from one of those melee guys that sneaks in. Okay, lastly, in the Hitman skill tree, 5 points into Cold Bore. Now, this basically allows you to swap weapons and you gain 30% cryo damage. This is a lot, especially with some of the weapons that we use. You can pretty much get over 1,000,000 damage per shot with some of the heavier guns. It's very nice, and then of course the bonus you get, whatever that is, 300,000 extra damage. So you can one-shot enemies just like your clone can. This is a floater point. You can put it anywhere you want. This is mainly so after we get a kill, if I need to go grab some ammo or some grenades or something like that, I can go run out and grab that real quick. But yeah, you can put this anywhere you want. Extra life steal or something. But yeah, wherever you want to put it. Next, I put 5 points into Cool Hand. This gives you reload speed, reload speed, reload speed. If you're reloading, you're not shooting, you're not doing damage. So you want to have as much reload speed buff as you can. And if you get a kill, get even more faster reload speed. So that's great. 3 points into Salvation. This is what gives you a little bit of kind of insurance that you're not going to go down. Once you get a kill, which you'll pretty much be getting kills every 15 seconds between you and your clone, you will have life steal, which allows you to top yourself off, especially with those faster firing weapons. You can top yourself off real quick with some of those, especially one of the ones I'm going to suggest. 1 into Death Follows Close. This basically just gives you a boost to some of these skills. Like this is why I only put 3 here, because a 25% boost is going to give you another, basically you're going to get the next rank effectively. So 12, life steal percentage versus the 9. And then extra duration as well. I put 3 points into Violent Violence. This gives us a beefed up fire rate. I've got 2 points from my class mod. And then if you happen to have it to where your class mod has 2 into playing dirty, I would put 1 more point into Violent Violence because I like keeping this one at 5. But I have 2 points from my class mod here and 1 here, so 5 and 3 is basically what you're looking for. These just boost your damage yet again. You specifically, not your clone. Lastly, we're going to put 2 points into good misfortune. You could technically just put 1, but I like to have that little extra insurance that my clone and shield are going to stay up throughout the entire fight. So as long as you're getting kills, which as long as there's more than, 2 or 3 enemies, you're going to be getting kills pretty quickly, it will keep your clone up. So that's pretty much it. Now we're going to move on to the weapons. Now I must say that for the full-on version of this build, you do have to have the DLCs. At least one of the DLCs, if not all 3. But there are I can make some suggestions that will allow you to use just the standard Borderlands weapons, because this does work with just about any weapon. Because the whole premise is throw out your clone, throw out your shield, give him, he gets your gun that you have equipped at the time, and as soon as you get a kill, you're really starting to rack up that damage. So, starting off, one option you can go for if you don't have any of the DLCs is this Kassan. This drops from Captain Trant, although I believe it drops from just about anywhere, but he drops it the most. This comes in all of the different elements. I like the one that's not element aligned because I don't like having weaknesses, which you can tend to have. Radiation is a good option, of course. Corrosive is another good option as well. The problem is, what this thing does is it fires tiny little projectiles, kind of like a Torg, but much faster. You don't have that travel time to hit the target, and they explode after about I think it's 3 or 4 seconds, or when you reload. So if you're firing really fast and you reload, every 2 or 3 seconds, it's going to shred enemies. And this one has a nice little bonus of the extra splash damage radius, so I'm not only killing the guy I'm shooting, but everything around him. The anointed mod you want is the action skill is active, weapon damage is increased by 200%. You pretty much want this on all your guns for this build. The thing is, this only affects you, not your clone. So this is what allows you, because he gets a few extra damage buffs that you don't, this is what allows you to keep up with him and do a lot of damage. Although honestly, he does so much damage that you really don't have to fire all that much. Another good option, especially if you're using that little trick where you swap weapons, you get that bonus cryo damage, is the Sandhawk. This drops from Katagawa Jr., and this does a lot of damage at closer ranges because it shoots those 7 bullets, but they're in a little bird pattern. But if you manage to hit all of them in the head, and then you have that whole action skill damage increase, plus the cryo damage, I think you know where I'm going with this. You can one-shot headshot people with this thing. But that's at closer ranges. At longer ranges, the shots do spread out a little bit, but you can actually hit more than one enemy at that point. Another option is the Storm, and I think there's a Firestorm as well. I know the Storm drops from Katagawa Jr. I think the Firestorm drops from him as well, or it's a World drop, one of the two. Basically what the Storm does is once it hits an enemy, and I think if it hits a wall, you spawn 4 little orbs that float in the air and shock any enemies around them. So that's a nice little touch. And once again, action skill active 200%. Another option we have here is the lead sprinkler. So what this does is once you shoot the enemy, it's going to spawn out 3 little like MERV grenade type looking things that explode around it. So you don't want to be too close to the enemy when this goes off. This is a very nice thing to give your clone as well, because the only problem is if you're too close, you may take some damage as well. But good, solid damage. Another option is the Krakatoa. This drops in Electricity from the boss in the subway that I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But yeah, and it drops from pretty much everywhere too, because it's a world drop. Great option. It's fire damage. It creates a pool of lava at their feet if you kill the enemy. I think it's if you kill the enemy, or maybe it always does. Well, anyway, it's mainly because of this damage. Look at that. 42,000 damage. You get that whole action skill active 200%. That is 120. You get that extra 30% from the cryo damage. That's another, what is that? I don't know. You're pushing over, 150,000 damage. So yeah, that's a whole lot. Compared to the ion cannon, which we'll get into later, it's roughly the same output if only this was game and stuff other than fire. Another good option, one of my favorite pistols, the Thunderball Fists. What this thing does is once it hits the enemy, it spawns this little crackling ball of electricity that comes crashing down and does tons more damage. And it's splash damage, so it does damage to all the enemies. So one of the things you're going to want to get, which kind of plays into the rest of the build, is one of these transformers. 100% resistance to shock. So these pair really well, which this is how I originally built the build before I found the ion cannon. Anyway, now one of the other things you absolutely have to have is the Seeing Dead with the 35% action skill damage. This is what boosts your clone through the roof. This is what allows him to one-shot nearly everything, maybe not all the badasses, but he comes pretty close. You can finish him off with one more headshot. So this also plays well into the Kasan because it gives me that, doll weapon critical damage, although that's not critical. Haha, see what I did there? Anyway, so main thing is that action skill damage, the other two little options really doesn't matter. Nice thing about the Seeing Dead is if you're doing damage though, you trigger your kill skills. So all that extra damage, reload speed, fire rate, all that stuff, you get it. So really nice. As far as the artifact goes, it really doesn't matter what you use. I like this one just because it does give me that extra shock damage. So I had paired it with the Thunderball Fist, but it works well with the electric version of the main build. And get the extra shock damage just gives you a little bit more faster killing rate. The movement speed is a nice little bonus to get between fights faster, but not necessary. So you can pretty much use whatever you like here. Like I said, with the grenade mod, it really doesn't matter, but what you're looking for is action skill start or action skill active. I just have this one that gives me extra grenades because I really haven't found anything better at the moment, so we'll go with that. To pair with the transformer, we also have the red suit. This drops from everywhere. There is a boss that drops from more often, but it's a world drop, so you get it anywhere. What you're looking for your anointed mod is while Digiclone is active, regenerate 3% health per second. So you're topping yourself off. This is all about you're not really a tank, but this will help you keep you up. If you're not going with the full build with the DLC weapons, you can use whatever shield you want. But like I said, if you want to use the Thunderball Fist that I really like, Transformer is what you're looking for. The reason we only have radiation and electricity versions of this build is because there's not a corrosive shield that has 100% resistance. So with the ion cannons that you'll be using for the main build, you will die from the splash damage. So, main build. What you're looking to do is switch to your ion cannon, then spawn in your clone, which gives him this weapon and allows him to one-shot just about everything. I don't have the best action skill mod on this, or the anointed mod, but really doesn't matter because that doesn't affect your clone. So you give him that, he just blows away everything. It has a little bit of a charge, so it does take a second, but it really doesn't matter. He's just blasting away. What you're going to be using is these light shows. These are considered the best weapon in the game, and they best pistol in the game, and they probably are, especially with that whole action skill is active, 200% damage. What these do is they shoot a cone of bullets. So basically, if the enemies are running towards you, they're just running into a cone of bullets. You can also give your clone one of these if you're getting rushed by a lot of enemies, but they're smaller enemies, instead of the ion cannon. And if you do give your clone this, you want to move on to the corrosive version of this, because that allows you to take down those armored targets and allow your clone to, kind of just fire free will at everything. And then as far as the last weapon, it really doesn't matter what you use. It's kind of up to you. But if you want to use that little trick of swapping weapons to gain the cryo damage, this and any heavy hitting weapon is a good option. So sniper rifle, single shot assault rifles and stuff like that do a lot of damage are really good in this last spot. But yeah, problem is this the ion cannons are DLC 1. They drop from the fabricator in the Jack's secret area. The light show dropped from the Lasso-Dactyl in DLC 3, so you are kind of limited there. One of the other sniper rifles you can go after, because I like this one because it switches between the two elemental options, is the Complex Root. This is also from DLC 3, so you may not have action or you may not have access to it. I don't have the best action skill anointed mod on there, so we'll just ignore that for now. It works really well though. What it does is when you hit an enemy, it spawns these little electronic circuit board looking lines and does more damage. So great option as well, but you don't have to have it. So you basically have two versions of the main build with the radiation and the electricity. I find the radiation is more suitable all around for, you know, if you have shielded, if you have armored, if you have non-armored enemies. The radiation tends to work and take them down fairly quickly no matter what you're facing. Like I said, this will work all the way up into Mayhem 10. I've done the Malawan trial solo with this thing. I've done the Guardian trial with it, although that took me quite a few tries to get through with it, just because of the whole having to activate those crystals, trying to keep those enemies off. It can be a little bit challenging in that crystal phase where you're trying to keep the enemies off. And one note you will have to, during the first mini boss, the middle boss, you can't have your clone out because he's going to die too quickly, but you can throw your shield out and then pick it up. And since you have the all-rounder mod, allows you to have a shield all the way around you, reflects all projectiles, but it does not reflect that explosion that he does. So you do have to watch out for that, but at least all the little enemies that are flying around and shooting you, you don't have to worry about that. So anyway, how about we get into some gameplay showing off this build. I think I'm going to do the Malawan trial, just to kind of give you a show of it, and then I might do some boss fights as well, like Captain Trant, where I got that one lovely Kassan as well, just to kind of show it off. And I'll see you at the end. So if you want to skip from here on out, just remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you at the end of the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're in the Malawan trial on Mayhem 10. I have sped this up just a little bit, about half again more, just because this is a slow fight for solo. But anyway, yeah, we'll see how the build works. As you can see, I will, here in a second, swap back and forth to get that cryo bonus. But the clone is actually doing the majority of the damage. You can just watch him just shred this enemy right there. I mean, look at that. That's crazy how quickly he can take stuff down. I check out a few weapons, but those really aren't anything I need. I've got plenty of cash, so just left them there. And now we're going to move because we don't have any enemies. So I pick up the shield. That gives me a little bit of a defensive help, but the shield expired. So that's great. Problem is, if you're not in your shield, you don't survive long, especially against some of these heavier hitters. But shield refreshes. I moved my clone. I don't know why he didn't move the first time I tried to do that, but second time he did. Look at this. He pretty much took down both of those, that brute and the, whatever, the cyber dog, by himself. I mean, I do some damage, but I'm not nearly as much as he can. Here in a minute, I'm going to skip to the mid-boss fight just because we'll get to the point that we have to just track down all the stragglers. Here you go, there's those electric balls from the sniper rifle that I like so much. Move them around a little bit. Basically, we just finish the enemies off. And he definitely likes that light show. You do have to move him around to get him the best location to kill enemies from. Alright, now we're going to skip to the mid-boss. So we run up, make sure on this one, since we're going to be hitting some heavier targets, we make sure he has the ion cannon. And then we use corrosive to help take down any armored opponent. And once again, don't forget to move him, you know, once you spawn him in, so he does that little bit extra damage. And I should be switching back and forth here to get the extra cryo damage, but in the heat of battle, sometimes I forget. Yeah, take out those little drones. Help your clone take out everything else. You guys do see how much damage he does. Crazy when he hits something. He's got a little bit better aim than I do, but still he will miss a few things, especially if they're moving pretty fast. Watch this, he's about to wipe out this dude. Look at that one shot to the head. And see, don't be afraid to shoot that sniper rifle multiple times and leave those electric shock balls all over the place. Yeah, I moved him up so he could finish off that enemy and then moved him back down inside the shield to protect him. And the shield expired. I think the shield time has been altered since that last update. So it doesn't stay out quite as long as the clone does, but still fairly good. He takes a lot of the aggro since he does so much damage anyway, so as long as both the shield and your clone don't go down, you should be good. Alright, I'll finish off these guys. Boom! Oh, he got behind me there, didn't he? And you want to shoot him one time, and boom, gone. Last enemy. After this, we're going to be going to a boss fight, just to kind of show it off. And I said I was going to do Captain Trant, but guess who forgot to press record? I was going to do both him and this boss, Kilovolt, but yeah, I forgot to press record. But anyway, it's a pretty quick fight in, so like we're already to the part where he jumps off, so you know, half health, well, half shield. But our little clone deals with all the minions, and once Kilovolt's shield goes down, watch this, like one more shot. Oh, he had his shield up. Now he'll be dead. And boom. Oh, no, still got the shield up. There we go. And there we go. Well, that's the build, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it and give it a try. Tweak it some. You know, there's a few different points you could put elsewhere, but let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. And this is MyrodinGaming, signing off.